Hello there, welcome to PvP. Today, Dan plays Plague Inc. Fantastic game that I've had for quite a while on a mobile device. Now, as if they've listened to me almost, they've come out with a PC version. Now, this is available on Steam at the moment. It's an early access, so it's not perfect, but it's certainly really good. It's a really good start to what could be a fantastic game. So we've still got the same option of viruses, diseases I suppose. I've still only got bacteria because I suck at this game really hard, but they have added some new ones on there. So this one here, this Necroa virus, it's obviously not available just yet, but they're adding in new viruses, so hopefully it will add in a lot more variety. I haven't even got any new genes or anything like that because, like I said, I do really suck at this. So if you want to unlock the next type, so in this case it's going to be a virus, you need to complete on normal or above. Now Mega Brutal, this is something that's been added in, and basically it means that it's all kind of set around these algorithms. So in this case, sick people are ignored, doctors don't really work as much, only a few people wash their hands, but on Mega Brutal everyone is incredibly clean and healthy, and they do random sort of medical checks, which means that your disease can get spotted a lot sooner. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename this little bastard to crabs. That'll do. And we're going to jump straight in. Now, as you can see, it's basically the exact same layout, which is just a map of the world, as the same as the other one. They have added in this sort of zoom function, so you can zoom in, you can see the clouds and the sea sort of moving about. Other than that, there's no real texture to any of the land. Maybe that is to change, as again it is just an alpha at the moment, or an early access anyway, so it's still being developed and built. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw this into a country, Egypt here. Now the way I kind of try and do it is keep it very under the radar. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and evolve it, keep its lethality down, which means people won't necessarily be dying from it, but keep its infectivity high, so more and more people can catch it in different ways. And plus with Egypt, it's got quite a good bonus because it's not classed as a first world country in the same way that America and Russia and most of Europe are. And it's got a airport and 2 harbours, which means that there's different ways that the virus can actually leave your country of choosing. So if you choose somewhere like England, because obviously England's got, or America, they've got multiple routes out of there as well. But because it's, they've got excellent medical care, it's a lot harder to spread it and get spotted a lot quicker. So usually starting in sort of a third world, not that I'm saying Egypt's third world, but if you start in these kind of like Africa or Sudan, any kind of those countries, it usually can spread a lot quicker. So we've got 15 DNA points now, so what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade crabs just a little bit. So we want to try and spread this around a bit. So we're going to put this in the water, which means that it can travel out via the harbours. So you can click on the Egypt icon here, and it comes up with the sort of the status of the country at the moment in time. So at this point, there's only a tiny percentage of people, so 14% out of 81 million have got this virus, bacteria. No one's died of it, obviously no one's heard of it. In the right hand corner we've got the World Watch, and this is how many people are in the world currently on the game. Obviously this isn't real life, and it gives you a sort of an overview to the world, if governments are breaking down, how many people have caught it, how many people have died of it, and it comes up with kind of little helpful pop-ups to say it's killed more than smallpox or black plague. But it's still quite slow in spreading at the moment, so what we want to do is we want to see if we can add in some symptoms. So in the left hand corner, this is insomnia, and that leads on to eventually insanity, and that means that the researchers who, obviously because everyone will eventually contract it if you do it well, if they suffer from insanity, obviously they can't work very well, which means it slows down the progress. Then we've got things like coughing. Obviously coughing spreads it into the environment a lot quicker, but it can be a little less subtle than, say, having a rash or sort of nausea, diarrhea, that kind of thing, because obviously people cough, no one really cares. You get the shits, people start to worry. So we want to try and make this a little bit more infectious. The orange bubbles that pop up are DNA bubbles. They just pop up randomly. There's no real sort of way of acquiring additional DNA points that I've found as of yet. Now there is a tutorial option from the main menu, but as it's still an early access one, it hasn't nothing's really come of it as of yet. So hopefully in the future it will teach you better ways of spreading viruses, and it will teach you better ways and how the development of DNA points works. So at the moment, Egypt's still got a fairly decent health at the moment. Still 99% of the country is fairly healthy. But what we want to do is we want to try and spread this through the air. We want to spread it through, especially in the poorer countries in the third world, through things like mosquitoes and blood transfusions, where screening for them for diseases and stuff isn't quite as well. It's just not as good as in the rest of the world, unfortunately. So let's see. We've got a few more points. Let's see if we can get anything. See, now getting onto things like pneumonia and sneezing's not too bad, but pneumonia, obviously, doctors will recognise it a lot quicker, which means that they can work towards a cure quicker, which is what's stated in the world map on the right here. So there's no research because no one knows about it. So we've got, well, we're at the 500 and so mark. Hopefully, with the coughing and sneezing that we've got on there, it should help spread things along. But what we do want to do is we want to get this onto the boat, because then that'll spread that to another country, and then it can develop on its own from there. So we can get the air one as soon as we've got enough points. How many points do we need for this? 10. Okay, so we're not far away from getting it on the air, because then we can get it on a plane, we can get it to a load of other countries. Now these animations are very, very similar to the mobile one. I was hoping for more sort of interactivity with the world. You can actually go in and see sort of countries. There we go, there's a boat. So there we go, we've infected the UK, hooray! So let's get the air, which means that we can now spread it through air travel. But there is something that does come up, which is new as far as I'm aware, where the airlines will actually upgrade the filters on their aircraft, which means that you've got to research more powerful bacteria in order to travel through the air. But another boat's just sent off there, and we're heading into Saudi Arabia, which is good. So now we've got over 90,000 people infected with this. No dead, which means, as of yet, still no one's heard of it. Now the news that keeps popping up in the left-hand corner, this is something that should play more of a role in it. So things like tsunamis, or there's like Olympic Games and things like that. So there's certain achievements you can get for disrupting the Olympics with the bacteria and stuff. But as I was saying, the environment's not really that, you can't really interact with it that well. You can't really zoom in on, not in a Google Street View kind of way, but you can't sort of zoom in and see cities burning and mass graves burning and that kind of stuff. Which I'd quite like to see. I mean, it's horrific, don't get me wrong, but it's the point of the game. It's to say this is how easy. Here we are, blood transfusions. In the poorer countries, this should really help spread the infection. But that's the point of this, is to say that if something, that we couldn't really deal with, or something did get under the radar, this is how badly it could fuck everything up. So now we've got it into America as well. So hopefully, now in places like America and the UK, it'll spread a lot slower than, say, here we are. Well, South Africa's not doing too bad. But Saudi Arabia, and especially Egypt, so we've got about a fifth or so of the population infected, but that's on the increase, because obviously the more people that get it, the more they can spread it onto. It's that kind of pyramid thing, if one person gets it, they spread it to two people, they spread it to two, and blah 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 blah. So that's the way I like to play this, really, sort of under the radar. Don't make it too lethal, just make sure it's incredibly infectious, and then as soon as everyone has got it, then you start dropping in, brain hemorrhages and seizures and organ failures and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty kind of grim game when you get down to it, But this is more interesting to me than Flappy Birds, for God's sake. So just by using here we are. Now this is a case where a symptom has actually mutated on its own. So crabs, oh god, has mutated and developed anemia. So what you can do though is, if it becomes too lethal, so say if something like what's this one, immune suppression, it can be lethal. So if that evolves on its own, you think, well, that could be easily spotted, and I haven't really got the coverage on the world that I wanted to just yet. You can devolve it, get a few DNA points back, nowhere near the amount that you spend on them, but you can devolve it, and then that will make spotting it a lot harder. So we're going to go for the insomnia one, which means that people will be slightly less productive, which again will affect the cure rate a bit further on in the future. So let's speed this up a little bit and see if we can get this. Okay, right, so Egypt, they've spotted it. So they are now going to start working on a cure. And then on the right here it says how long it's going to take. So we've got 64,500 days until they complete it. So at the moment it's like they've realised that it's there, but they haven't really done anything about it. They don't think it's that severe, because at the moment it's just infectious. It's not actually causing anyone any deaths or anything. So at the moment the entirety of the Egyptian population is now infected with crabs. But none of them have died from it as of yet, as you can see just here. But we've got 81.5 million people across the world infected. America, United Kingdom, still incredibly low infection rates, but we've got a few countries in Europe, and now we've getting some places over here. Right, so we've got 32 DNA points. Actually, no, one just popped up there. Oh god, and one in New Guinea, is that? Or New Zealand? Oh no. What's that country? Yeah, it is New Zealand. Fucking hell, right, okay, so it's going absolutely batshit at the moment. So this is spreading all over the goddamn place. We've got 55 points, so we're going to buy some good stuff. So we'll get bird migration, which means that it can be spread by birds as they migrate all over the world. And we're going to get some abilities as well. So what the key really is to get the cold countries, because those are the ones where they have the bacteria has a harder time surviving. So we've got a sort of like a cold boost here. So this is cold resistance, and then we're going to get bacterial resilience, which means that it's slightly improved in all of the climates. So in the hotter countries in the south, or in sort of Greenland and Iceland over here, where it's dead cold. So here we are absolutely killing people all over the place. So we've got 31.5 million in Saudi Arabia, all of Sudan, all of Egypt. South Africa is definitely on the way. Looks like we've got Canada in the mix as well. We've got Russia. So the key ones really, before all the airports and all the harbours start closing down, we want to get Greenland. That's the main one for me, because that one's always the annoying one, because as soon as you start killing people off, all the harbours shut down, and that's the only way to spread the virus over to Greenland. So we're getting pretty good in the centre of the world here. So right, okay, so pneumonia has it developed on its own, and now the infection rate across the world is going absolutely mental, which is brilliant. So it's killed about 4,000 people so far, but what I've noticed is it doesn't always come up and say that the bacteria is actually is the cause of death. So 4,292 people that have been infected have died, but it usually comes up with a little pop-up to say the first person has actually died of crabs. Jesus Christ, I've got 123 points. I don't think I've ever done this well before. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to go for paranoia, which will help with the slowing down of the cure rate. We're going to get some drug resistance. We'll get a heat resistance, and then a second layer to the bacterial resistance. We've still got 77 points. Wow. Okay, let's go for mosquitoes. So insects can spread it, and we'll also go for livestock as well, which will help spread it across the more developed world. So at the moment, the entire sort of African continent here is pretty much fucked. So we've got 2.5 billion people infected at the moment. Obviously we're playing this on the second speed, but the world is now aware of it, and they are starting to work on a cure. So we've got 406 days basically to infect and kill everybody. So what you can do is you can see which countries are actually contributing most. So here we've got South Africa, Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, which is basically this whole area here. So if you start bringing in the more lethal symptoms, then that means it kills off obviously the people that are going to be researching it. So we can go for immune suppression, or we can go for pulmonary fibrosis, and that should lead to organ failure. Now this is super lethal stuff, so we're going to chuck that in there, and then you can have comas and all that sort of stuff. But we want to up the infectivity rate as well, so we'll go for another level on the water. So we're down to 8 DNA points, speed it up again, carry on with the infection. So basically the whole of the African continent and the Middle East is all infected. Now here we are, so the first death from crabs has been confirmed in Turkey. So before people were just aware of it as a kind of an infectious thing, now people are realising that it is actually lethal, which means that they'll up the research. So inflammation, that's another version of the sort of infectivity spreading. Wow, we've got pretty much the whole of the southern hemisphere, with the exception of Australia, Now, it's in Australia, but it's not really getting that many people. Again, the incredibly cold places across the top of the map, and the incredibly hot places. Well, Australia, I would have thought, as we've got most of Africa, I would have thought we would have got Australia by now, but nonetheless, we can always... Jesus Christ, another 89 points. So we will add in another heat resistance, another cold resistance, and then, what the hell is that? Environmental hardening. Pathogen develops hardening coating, becoming highly weather resistant and extremely comfortable in hot and cold climates. Excellent. So that's the best version, which means it can survive in any type of climate now, which is excellent. So hopefully we can get this into Greenland, we can get it into Australia, and the weather, the actual climate, won't affect it at all. So now we're starting to get, I think we just got Iceland there? Norway, sorry. Sweden, Finland, and the majority of Russia are still pretty much unaffected. But we've got Greenland, thank Christ. We've got Canada. So it's just these northern countries here. Those are the ones we need to get. Now the bugger is, as you can see, they've actually closed down their harbours. Ports, sorry, whatever. Which means that, obviously, because the world is aware of it, they can take measures to prevent it. But we've killed nearly 3 billion people with it so far. So basically, all across the southern hemisphere here, everyone is either dead or about to die. Genetic reshuffle, of course. So what we can do is we can add in some more resilience. Okay, and genetic reshuffle, and hopefully that should make it a little bit harder for them to cure it, because at the moment they're at 78%, which is a bit of a bastard, because I was hoping that they wouldn't click onto it this quickly. But we have been playing it in double speed, so it's not too bad. Right, so Turkey has fallen into anarchy, which basically means they can't do any more research. So if they were a country that was maybe a key contributor to the cure, if they collapse, obviously they're not going to be providing any more research. So we've killed, how many? A billion, just over 1.5 billion. We've got quite a few places left to go, although I think we just got Sweden or Norway. Well, Finland's still pretty unaffected, but it can spread across the border here from Russia, I suppose. Greenland's still fairly resilient, as is the USA and Canada. So those are the ones we need to get, really, because obviously those are going to be the main key contributors. But as they're wealthy countries, they can put a lot more into research. So let's have a look at transmission options. So we'll go for rodents, which are obviously more common in built-up urban areas. And we will throw in, for good measure, seizures. And that should hopefully, again, slow the nuclear explosion in Spain. Wow, okay, so Spain has just fucked itself with a huge nuke going off. Fantastic, a power reactor going off. And we've got an achievement for it, hooray! So hopefully that's something to do with crabs. But as the world is super close to getting a cure, and I don't think we've got anything else we can put into symptoms, not really powerful ones anyway. Hypersensitivity, we'll go for that. But I think there's a very good chance, unfortunately, in this case, we may have lost it. Although, across the world, we've killed almost 6 billion people, which is pretty good going, really, considering this is just a quick one. But these countries here, we haven't really touched these. Walking Dead symptom combo, right? Insomnia and anemia. Scientists working on the cure for crabs are less productive. Fair enough. But the thing is, though, they've already reached 100%, which unfortunately means they're going to start dishing out the cure, which means the infection rate will drop. And all the people that are infected, and we haven't got any points left, which is always the bastard for this. I can never figure it out. But you can always devolve certain things. You can get points back and put them into more deadly symptoms, or if you want to bring it more under the radar, put them back onto transmission or abilities. But I think in this instance we may have lost the battle to kill humanity. And there we go. The plague crabs has been eradicated. 117%. It took them 583 to get it. But we managed to kill basically most of the people in the world. There was a good sort of 6 billion people we managed to kill, which means humanity, unfortunately, would not really recover from that. But this is Plague Inc. It's a fantastic little game. Obviously, you can play this in a slower down version. It can take about half an hour or so to go through a good one if you're really putting the effort into it. I'm looking forward to having a look at some of the new disease types and where they actually develop with this game. It's a lot of fun. You still get it for the mobile phone. I still play it when I'm having a shit or whatever. But for this, for a PC version, definitely worth it. So buy it, support it. My name's Dan. I'll see you later. Bye bye.